Hey you guys, this is Rafael from Relics.com. I hope you're all doing well today. I'm thankful to get to be with you guys. I want to send a shout out to all of my friends, all of my family. You guys are the best. I'm the luckiest guy in the world, and I'm thankful for each one of you. I'm thankful that I get to be with you guys on a regular basis. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite Civil War artifacts. When the Civil War broke out, the Confederacy had to improvise basically everything to create a military branches of service. They had to have guns, they had to have swords, they had to have flags, they had to have requisitions to make everything. They had to have uniforms and buttons and spurs and spurs. That's what we're going to talk about today. This is my favorite Civil War Confederate spur. Right before the war, the U.S. had a model 1859 Cavalry Spur. They were a simple spur made of cast brass, rowel on the end. The Confederacy basically copied theirs off of that. They made some improvements on different versions, but if you collect Confederate spurs, there's tons of different variations. There's ones that were made in the Richmond area that are a little bit different. They're a wider, flatter spur. There's a Brandy Station spur that is nicknamed because most of the early ones came from that Brandy Station, Virginia area. Then there are ones from what at the time was the Western Theater, Tennessee, Missouri, Mississippi. You see a lot of variations there. The most famous of all of those Western Theater spurs is the one that we've got in front of us here. In Memphis, Tennessee, there was a company that's often referred to as the Memphis Novelty Works Company. They produced a wide array of things. They're probably best known for these spurs and the Confederate revolvers that they made. It was owned by Thomas Leech and Charles H. Rigdon, R-I-G-D-O-N. And they were in Memphis and made these spurs. They're real distinctive. They've got the big CS on the front of it. Would have been a tough thing to make at the time. But they made them here. When Memphis fell, they moved to Columbus, Mississippi until 1863. And then they moved to Greensboro, Georgia, where they kept making pistols and swords and probably these spurs as well. Firm was dissolved in January 1st, 1864. So you don't see them in business as a partnership after then. These spurs were probably made at all three locations. They made a plain version, which is always referred to as an enlisted man's spur. Then they have this one that's referred to as the officer spur. But they were a private company on a lot of it. If you had the money, you could wear these if you were a private. If you were a big enough man, you had enough money to cash that check. They're very distinctive. They're made of cast brass. They have the magic letters CS on the front for Confederate States. On each of the spur legs, they have a star like this. And they'll be right in front of the strap loops. This is where the leather strap went through and held it on to the soldier's boot. On the front end, they'll have an iron rowel. The little piece that spins is called a rowel, R-O-W-E-L. And most of the time those are missing. These spurs are very fragile because of the way that they made them. They're sand cast, and they're cast actually with the legs completely flat. They cast them that way because it was easier to pour that mold and get it level by doing it that way. But that meant that you had the possibility when the rowel neck was standing up to get air bubbles in it. And if an air bubble is inside cast brass, it's going to break easier. And a lot of times you'll see them where one of the sides is broken out. So it's important that you have all of it there. And these are such a distinctive spur that a lot of people, when they even find them excavated, broken up, if you save the pieces, you're going to find somebody else eventually that found matching other pieces. And so you don't want them to be repaired. Quick trick on telling if a spur has been repaired, the continuity of the metal will have been broken at some time. If you take it and tap it like a sounding iron, you can feel the vibration go up through your thumb up to your arm. If that spur has been repaired and glued back together, it won't have that continuity and it will be just a dead thud. But if you feel that going down your arm, the metal is continuous in it. So a little trick. A friend of mine showed me that and I thought, that's the coolest thing ever. I don't think about stuff like that. But they're neat spurs. They're very expensive because they are desirable. They're more expensive when you find one that hasn't been restored, like this one. No restoration. It was actually found by the man that does a lot of the restoration for me, Robert McDaniel, Dr. Robert McDaniel. He found it in one of the campsites. It was occupied by Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest. So you have that association. Could have been any one of Forrest's officers that had it. No way to know who. But they're a great piece. They're very distinctive. They stand out, and everybody that collects Civil War stuff knows them when you see them because of that. Those bold letters, Confederate States. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope you have the best day you have ever had in your whole life, because you better enjoy today because we ain't promised tomorrow. I am so thankful that I get to be here with you guys today. I'm thankful for my family. I hope you guys know that you're loved. You go on to Shiloh Relics. If you would share these videos, go on to YouTube, sign up as a subscriber. Remember that I love you, and I'll catch you next time.